Alright, what's up, the folks of YouTube? It's just me, Supernova, chilling here by myself. I came upon an interesting discovery today. But, yeah, accident zombies, right? And, I was doing my usual stuff, just, looking for the rule book, and I was writing down the components and whatnot. And I was counting all the pieces, make sure they're all there and stuff. And, while I was doing that, I read something interesting in the book. It said Axis and Allies, Zombies, Introductionary Scenario. And I was like, what the hell? I never heard of anything about that. Never seen anything about it. Never done nothing. So I decided to try and look through the book. And I found a couple interesting things. One, they have an alternate setup for 1942, because as you know, they come with 1942 cards. So you can play that up there, that one, top one. Kind of far away. But, yeah, so you can change 1942, play Zombies 1942, and they have an alternate setup for that. And they also have this small little game of Summer 1939. It's supposed to be Axis and Allies introductory to Zombies. And they say you recommend to play this if you've never played Zombies before, which I have. I've never played this before. But I'm not really much of a fan for the zombie rule, so I just decided that I'm kind of curious about this, and I want to play it, anyway. I'm not going to use zombies. That may kind of wreck it, but I don't care. So, as you see, starting setup. Very small. All these American things, they're, borders. You're not allowed to fly on them, or cross them, or anything like that. They're kind of like neutrals. You can't do anything over or in them. So, very limiting, and all these British guys are representing the forces of Europe that were in the area before they got taken over by the Germans. So, the Germans started at 7, the Russians started at 10. Let me grab the book here. And, sorry. Yep, there's all the zones that the United States control markers are supposed to go in. They say you're supposed to put one in 8, but I didn't, because I don't see, if you're not supposed to fly over these or ship through them or anything, I don't see the need to put one in 8, so I didn't. And the order of play, Germany and the Soviet Union, as I said, it's supposed to be a 2-player game, but I'm going to be playing myself. And then check for victory, but yeah, right. We'll do that in a few rounds. The German player wins by ending a round with an income of 20 IPCs or more before round 6. So, and then as you see, round 3 is a total victory. 4 major victory, 5 minor victory, and 6 or later is a defeat. And so obviously the Russians are trying to stop the Germans, and the Germans trying to get a bunch of money. So I wouldn't say this is the most historically accurate thing, as the Russians and the Germans at the very beginning of the war, because this takes place in summer 1939, they just kind of divided this eastern part of Europe on their little non-aggression pact. And when Hitler invaded in 1941, that obviously got rid of that. But, whatever. So I figured it was interesting, and I'd give it a shot. Starting setup charts. And then you can see that they represent the forces of things like Norway, France, Belgium, Poland, and Romania. And, yeah, that's about the zombies. I'm not going to play with that. I don't know. I'm not too big of a fan of that rule. But, yeah. And, as in traditional, as of like this week or last week, Sebastian Bach style, I'll be reading this. I found this book, and I figured it's pretty fitting. So, without further ado, we're going to get into it and play round 1. Should go fairly quickly. Alright, see you then. Cardsman, over and out. Alright, so round 1's done. As you see, got some dice here, courtesy of 1941. Thank you very much. And my box there, and chips and all that. and because everything's at arm's reach, it's pretty nice. So that's what happened. And I'm gonna read you a little fact here out of this Strike at Dawn from this book here, Operation Barbarossa, 1941. And all right. So at 2:11 hours, that's 2 in the morning. For you guys that can't read military time. On Sunday, the 22nd, June 1941, the German Air Force Base at Echolde, that base there, just east of, oh my god, that 30 kilometers northeast of Königsberg in East Prussia was filled with a deafening sound when 29 twin-engines Junkers Ju-88 bombers started their 1,400 horsepower Junkers Umo engines. Then they began to lumber out, each carrying a payload of 4,000 kilos of bombs towards the runway. The engine sound rose as one after another raced across the field, hid itself from the ground, and disappeared into the darkness. Off to Russia. Here's a cool map. So, that's the fact. We'll get on to round one. So, pretty devastating for the nationalists, or the nationals, the little Romanians, Ukrainians, and things and such and such. The Germans took France handedly. They also took the Balkans handedly, and they sent a man in a tank and a couple fighters up to Norway and Finland. They didn't lose anything on their opening attacks. Nothing hit in France, and so they pretty much just steamrolled everyone. They're up to $15, so they only need 5 more to win. And this is turn 1. I understand that there'd be zombies if you're going to play by the out-of-box rules. So, that'd probably slow them down a little bit more. But I really don't know how much, for the simple fact of they would have maybe a couple men to fight. The Germans didn't lose anybody, so they won't have to fight any of their own people. And they built a transport because I figured that I want to get some. What was that doing? Yeah. All right, so get that out of here, and I want to get a transport and get some troops up to there. The Russians reinforced Korea. They got 4 guys there. They sent their fighter from Moscow over to sink the destroyer, trying to pop those 2 transports, and the fighter hit, but so did the destroyer. So the transports are safe, undefended, but safe for now. Let's see here. West Russia got taken with a few men. The Ukraine got taken, and of course Russia. They built their guys there. They had the factory down here. Maybe they could respond a little faster, but they also want to be able to respond up there as well. So honestly, I can't see the Germans not getting a total victory in this, but maybe, just maybe, the Russians can clinch something out, and yeah, that's it. So, that was turn 1. We'll be back after turn 2. Guardsmen, over and out. Turn 2's over. Of Axis and Allies Zombies. Intro scenario. Right. Alright, so I got a little fact here. And it's called Stukas versus Soviet Battleships. See? Picture of a battleship here. Cruiser Kirov of the Soviet Red Banner Baltic Fleet provided valuable fire support to the defense of Leningrad through her 9 18cm and 6 10cm guns, with 10 anti-aircraft guns between 45 and 12.7mm and a 50mm deck and a 50mm deck armor. She was able to withstand all attempts by the Luftwaffe to sink her. Kirov was launched on the 30th of November 1936 and 1961. She was reclassified as a training cruiser and scuttled in 1974. Today, 2 of the cruiser's guns turrets can be seen as a monument in St. Petersburg, and that guy took the photo. So, interesting little fact there about the siege of Leningrad. That ship bombarded the Germans, and the Luftwaffe couldn't sink it. So, the Russians did have a navy. Alright, so enough of the fact. Back to the round. So, um, one thing was the attacks were not nearly as successful as they were last time. Neither side lost any troops last time, and they both were doing very well. The Germans this turn had gotten up to 19, but they came back down again. The Russians are back up to where they were, or maybe not. Maybe they're one down. I'm not sure. No, they are back up to where they were because the Germans were at 15. That's right. Oh man, my memories must be going. But yeah. So the Germans forgot to move these guys over. Oh well. But they did move they did take some guys from France and actually attack Karelia with the guys from Norway. And they won. And they had some planes, but the planes landed back in Berlin. They had a couple tanks, a man and artillery left, and they took Poland, leaving the Balkans empty. And yeah, so and then they built a 2-man artillery and a tank. The Russians built 4 men, 3 men there, 1 man there. And they did try to counterattack here with the 3 guys from West Russia and that tank there. They wiped out everybody but that tank, and that was a ridiculous battle. The Russians started off really good and wiped out all the German units except for that tank. And after 6 or 7 rounds of not very bloody combat because no one would hit, the Germans finally whittled him down to just the tank left, and he retreated to West Russia. So the men came up from Ukraine and the artillery, and then the men and the artillery from Russia came, and then they put a man up in Archangel to stop the Blitz. And that's about it. Nice quick videos because there's not very much going on. But yeah, I don't see the Soviets lasting more than this turn. But we'll see. So all they gotta do is keep Germany at 19 or less for 6 turns. But like I said, they're not even halfway there yet, and they're looking pretty weak, and the Germans not so much. But yeah, that'll be it, and we'll see you guys after turn 3. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is over. After turn 3, the Germans have gotten total victory. But first, a fact. We'll start here. Further to the west, the Germans were able to seize most of the Brest fortifications. I tried to find out where these fortifications were by reading a page, but I didn't. After the Euchre 88 bombers had dropped a gigantic 2,500 kilogram bomb on the citadel inside the ruined fortress, the walls were filled with inscriptions such as "We will die, but never leave the fortress." Still, some individual Soviet soldiers continued to offer resistance in isolated parts of the fortress for several weeks. When those parts were finally cleared, the Germans found a final inscription on the wall: "I am dying, but I will not surrender. Farewell, motherland. 20th of June, 1941. Thought that was a cool fact and pretty fitting for the German slaughter that just took place. So, that's it for Operation Barbarossa 1941 tonight. So, it is the end of turn 3. Germans have won, and by the rulebook, that is a total victory. They are actually up to $23. On their turn, their tanks from Eastern Europe came up here like this. The tank from there came down there like that, killed the Russian guy. They built a destroyer. They built another 2 men in a tank as well. Their transports took some guys from here and put them up there for reinforcements. The bomber came back, the rest of the guys, this tank and the rest of the guys attacked into Western Russia. They were dead even, but the Germans sent their planes, their bomber and their fighter, and their bomber and their 2 fighters, and that was enough for them to turn the tide. And that what was left, a tank and 2 artillery. And then a couple guys moved over here, built their guys, and that was pretty much it. So what the Russians were left with was 3 men in Russia and a man in the Caucasus. But so they tried to attack this because this was what was left here. That's pretty much all they could do. There was no way they were going to take back enough to get the Germans below 20. But I like to play the game to the bitter end, and BFC does as well. And this is kind of like our little group thing: is we never give up. We will always fight to the bitter end. So yeah, they attacked and they got repelled. They did not kill anything. 4 infantry versus 2 artillery and a tank. And that was it. They built 4 men in artillery this turn. They placed them all in Russia for the imminent defense that would have to come. And that was pretty much it for the turn. So yeah. Kind of a weird little thing. I didn't even discover this till like a couple hours ago. But it was fun. I liked it. My thoughts, you either need to play with the zombies or you need to bulk up Russia. Russia's just too weak. This was far too easy for the Germans. But the Germans either need to be weakened, or maybe even the British units that are representing the French and the Belgians and the pre-conquered Europe soldiers, they need to be bulked up or something. Because Germans just a juggernaut in this game. Even only making $7 to begin with, they just decimated everyone. They stomped all over everybody, which I guess is pretty historically accurate. I mean, this one is a little blown up proportion because we're going to take Moscow next turn. And that obviously didn't happen in 1939. So, yeah. But it was fun, always. Always fun, Axis and Allies is. So, yeah. If you happen to be watching this video and you have Axis and Allies zombies, do this. It's awesome. You can play it. I think I played it for like an hour and got done with it. An hour and a half maybe. And it's still pretty fun. Nice little one-player action for a little bit. Doesn't burn you out, anything like that. And it's interesting. I like to see the Russians win sometime. So bulk up the European forces. Maybe bulk up the Russians. Weaken the Germans. Do whatever. Or even play with the zombies. Because the zombies will definitely slow the Germans down. I don't know if they'll do it enough. But whatever. Just I'll probably try this again sometime in the future. And make some changes to it. But still. So, Axis and Allies zombies. Intro. Scenario. Interesting. And yeah, so that's it for tonight. This is Guardsman. Over and out.